Hi. How's your balls? I don't know what people are screaming about. My name is Richie, and I limit my alcohol. I barely have alcohol. I'm 40 years old. I have a drink here and there. And that's my name of my girlfriends, here and there. It's actually what I call your mother and your sisters. A lot of jokes. Ha ha. All right, shall we start this? I think I already heard AP's Jojo. AP does like 1 week on, 1 week off. He's like, I hate you, Richie. And the next week he's like, oh, let's just get back to cigars. And then he's like, I hate you, Richie. It is what it is. Ice cold water. Can't stress it enough. Here we have a well-made My Father cigar, but it's contracted out from a brand owned by Ashton, which Ashton doesn't make their cigars. They have Ashton, they have San Cristobal, and they have Aroma de Cuba. Now, I guess it was odd to me for them to have both Aroma de Cuba and San Cristobal, because in a way, they're both around the similar price points. Most San Cristobal cigars, and you know, I don't really even see a place that really carries a lot of San Cristobal cigars. But I mean, some places do, but it's more common to see La Aroma de Cuba. And La Aroma de Cuba, from what I see at stores, is like a value line mid-tier as far as the price point. They're definitely coming in much lower than the Fuente Ashton cigars. So, but remember, these are being made in Nicaragua by Don Pepin's factory, right? My Father Cigars. So, I mean, obviously, if you ask me what's a better brand, Ashton or Aroma de Cuba, flat out it's going to be Ashton. But if you say, well, what costs more? Obviously, Ashton's a luxury brand, but it's not just price luxury. They're really amazing cigars with well-aged Fuente tobacco, etc. But the construction on this seems very nice. And shout out to Cap. This is from Cap. This is the Amor Reserva. These are coming in, I think, around $8. Could be more, could be less, depending where you're at. And I'll double check that. Looking at Florida pricing. And where's my cutter? Where's my cutter? That's gonna piss me off. Yo, that car sounds loud. All right, I found my cutter. Did I? Yes. So anyways, this is a Mexican San Andreas Oscuro. That's what it's listed as, and the rest of it's gonna be Nicaraguan. So off the bat, by being made by my father, by being a Mexican San Andreas Oscuro, even though it's more of a golden medium brown looking cigar, and then being all My Father tobacco underneath that, the question is, you know, how strong is this going to be? And the question is, maybe, how hard do you want to push a cigar this size? But also, the size is a factor. This is a bigger size. It doesn't say it on here, and I'll look it up, though, by gauging it. If I had to guess, this is around a Toro size, about 6 inches, maybe just shy, like 5 3/4, or a 6-inch cigar. And it looks like a box pressed, a soft box pressing, I must say, a soft box pressed 54. It's got a pretty full pack. Now I'll look up online in between the takes, and not that it matters. Kind of hot out tonight. I thought it would have cooled down, but I guess I was wrong. Florida's a fucking oven. Holy shit. It is what it is. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I don't care, because nobody cares. It's just, when someone says, I hope you're doing well, it's just something to say, you know what I'm saying, though? But sometimes just formalities, you know, that's all it is, you know? There's nothing wrong with that, because in the end, what does anything matter anyways? Well, so yes, maybe you've tried La Aroma de Cuba. Maybe you haven't tried La Aroma de Cuba. Maybe you love it. Maybe you hate it. You know, I've had some I enjoyed. I have some I don't think I was thrilled by. I don't remember if I did this review on this. This is not the This is not the banding's nice on this. This is not the original blend. I don't think so. Original is just the Aroma de Cuba, and a lot of stores will have like the 5-packs of the classic one. Yeah, soft gentle heat. I can't stress it enough. You want to just gently awaken this shit up. Medium full off the bat. That's got really thick tobacco because I've been toasting the son of a bitch a lot. All right, let's toast it. Let's toast that one more time. I did leave this out of the cellophane since last night, just to kind of breathe a little bit. Here we go. Here we go, baby. I'm sure of it. You know, it is what it is. You might put your bread in the toaster, and you might go, wow, that toaster really toasts my bread. I love this toaster.
Where are you guys going?
You know? I want this thing to toast my bread all the time. Right? But, unless you took it right out of the box, that's... Yeah, unless you were the first one, you have to lie to yourself and just accept that there's been a lot of other bread. Pumpernickel, sourdough. Yeah, white bread. Maybe even rye, right? There might have been a lot of different kinds of bread in that toaster. Maybe more than even 2 pieces. Maybe 4 were stuffed at one time. Maybe there was a line. Yeah, you get what I'm trying to say? So if you got a toaster, just understand that but unlike a toaster at least you could turn it upside down and shake it around and get the crumbs out. For those that have wisdom, maybe you understanding what I'm talking about. So it is what it is. But if you leave your toaster plugged in, maybe it burns down your house and you lose everything you have. The cigar has good intensity. The cigar is 3/4 strength. It's definitely strong, but it feels a little more chiseled or reserved or, smoother than like the classic Aroma de Cuba. I'll have to look up the differences as far as, I'm not sure the wrapper's the same in the original one, and it might not be. But my point is it just feels like more age on this cigar. I'm not sure I can find in the blend. I looked at the Aroma de Cuba and they just said Mexican Oscuro and San Andres Oscuro and Nicaraguan binder filler. Good smoke output. It is a slow burn. It's on the stronger side, not ass kicking, and I wouldn't say it's like the strongest that like my father could do on my father's cigars, but it's definitely enjoyable. People are so stupid. What's the flavor like? It's definitely earthy. It's my father's cigars. Long, heavy finish. So if you're a fan of my father's cigars, you probably enjoy this. Feels like a nice cigar. Mexican San Andreas, it's really variable, whereas like for the most part lots of Cameroon cigars, no matter what brand it does, that it has a lot of similarities between what it feels or tastes like. Of course, you could go with age and construction, but just the overall profile. You can say that too, maybe more about Connecticut broadleaf. I think Mexican San Andreas, what I've been noticing is it's very, how do you say, be more like the Liquid Terminator versus the Connecticut broadleaf is the one set in stone. It does what it does very well, and most Connecticut broadleafs still are gonna have a lot in common, no matter what brand and how you load it. Mexican San Andreas. You go from like a Partagas Valley Verde to this, and you go to a Cohiba purple. What the fuck is that named? Riviera, and then go to like a Rocky Patel Mexican San Andreas. I think Mexican San Andreas might be one of the most. What's the word I'm looking for? Is it adaptive? Is it? There's a lot of range, or what you can make it feel like. Whereas, generally when you go with Connecticut shade cigars, whether it's Ecuadorian Connecticut, Nicaraguan Connecticut, or the original Connecticut, shade grown or whatever the fuck, they generally have a lot of similar vibes. And there are a few exceptions where like more stronger than normal. But the point is, taking away talking about a certain type of wrapper and then talking about strength, actual profiles, and the messages. Mexican San Andreas could be, you go from one to another, you're like, these are both Mexican San Andreas? And I've smoked a lot of different Mexican San Andreas, but I don't think a lot of times people compare and contrast all the different kinds of Mexican San Andreas cigars. Why don't you do that? Go type Mexican San Andreas cigars, and then go online, and maybe probably a few that you smoke, and then actually go, holy shit, these are all Mexican San Andreas wrappers. You're going to find that, and I think that could be a good or a bad thing. Maybe you can get lost in the sauce where you're like, I really like this cigar. That's a Mexican San Andreas. Well, you might have another Mexican San Andreas that has nothing in common. Nothing. Whereas if you like a Connecticut cigar, like the Ashton White, if you go to the Monte Cristo White, you're like, well, maybe one feels a little better than the other, or one's a little better price point. But, eerily, Ecuadorian or Connecticut shade cigars, there's going to be more in common than not in common. You're using that price point and how strong or how smooth they want to make it and how well it's made, but the profile is going to be very fucking, formulaic. And within reason. Dare I say Padron. Now, we all know, the people that know, including AP, that for years, people talked about, you look up the articles, maybe they're trying to scrub it, that everyone knows Padron uses Mexican San Andreas wrapper on their Maduros. Of course, then now Padron's denying it. In the previous articles, I've seen old articles, the original creator Padron, the father, would talk about, like, he wouldn't even deny it when they talked to him about it. So, I don't know. But does that taste like this cigar? No. So is this a good cigar? Yeah, I think it's a solid cigar. I think it's enjoyable. I think it's strong. I think it's medium full. Although smoother than like a regular Amor. I wouldn't tell you like what's so striking about it. Like, oh, is this blowing your mind? No. I really haven't had any Amor. La Aroma de Cuba. What do they call it? Lada? L-A-D-C. Lada cock. La Aroma de cock. I haven't had any like La Aroma de Cubas that was like, listen, bro, you better try this shit. I think they're a solid brand made by my father and generally available at a good price point. So there's good value in that. Generally speaking, though, if you ask me for, let's say, around the $8 to $10, $12 mark, and you're at a lounge, hey, what would you smoke, Aroma de Cuba or my father? They're both made by my father. I would go my father. I would smoke Opalencia over this. I would smoke Bijou over this. I think generally speaking, for the most part, when brands make cigars for themselves and other people, for the most part, they're going to make their best cigars for themselves. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. Then again, on the flip side, maybe a guy, he makes shitty sex to his wife and he fucks the shit out of his side bitch. You know what I'm saying, though? Maybe he's just tired of doing the same thing. So sometimes with small batch cigars made by a bigger company, like, listen, we could spice this shit up. Like, yeah, you say it's Altatus, but it's not Aroma 1875. Oh, because I recently had the Churro cigar made by Altatus, and that was one of the spiciest Dominican cigars. Holy shit, that cigar was ballsy. And you're like, oh, but it was small batch, and you can't get it. And it was very limited, and you're never going to see it. You can't even order it, can't even look anything up, except what I made. So you're like, oh, thanks, Altatus. Why can't you make me, why can't El Churro be available online or at regular stores? Because it's not. I'm going to come back. It's slow burning. Holy shit, you're going to get a lot of time with this fucking cigar. I think it's a solid cigar. I think it's very enjoyable. I think it'd be great with anything between, because it's about 70% darkness. I think anywhere between coffee to scotch, whatever you want to move, and if you're not driving. I think it's strong enough to go with a strong drink like scotch or something like that, or a nice cold beer. But at the same time, it's not strong enough that if you had this with just a coffee or water, I wouldn't do juice, like a Fruit Loop. You could do it. You know what I'm saying, though? Very slow fucking burning. Earthy, slightly mildly chocolatey sweetness, but not that much, though. And a lot of Aroma de Cubas, what I've noticed is not much sweetness on any of their cigars. That's just my opinion. Draw is good. It's really earthy, black pepper, and a little bit of chocolate. If I hold the smoke, a little bit of red pepper comes to the mix. I don't think it's a very complex cigar, but I'll say with what it has, it's very bold flavors, very big flavors for what it has. And the finish is very long and heavy from the beginning. So if you want that kind of vibe, and you can get these for a good price, I think it's enjoyable. If you want a big, heavy, simple cigar that's robust, and it's slightly edgy. I wouldn't say it's dirty, but it's slightly edgy. Hey, well, we're back. I want to show you that ash. Solid, My Father construction, really. Nice stacking ash there. Zebra stripes. Let's get rid of that. Easy, it's gone. Now, what can I say about this cigar? The strength hasn't changed. Most my father's cigars, the blend is always generally going to be the blend, and what I mean by that is you light it up, and that's pretty much the cigar. They're generally very consistent, generally very good construction, and the power point and the flavor it's like opposite of what, let's say, Fuente would do, or other cigars that would have like a traditional build-up to getting, maybe starting at medium and going to medium plus, and then ending on a nice medium full. There's really no transitions on this cigar, and no transition of the flavor, so there's nothing to even talk about as far as the flavor changing at all. So what would be the benefit of something like this? Well, if you want something from the beginning to the end, being robust, it's pretty heavy, although not the heaviest. Let's say My Father's cigars, because there are stronger and darker and heavier ones, but we're not going to talk about that. But still, all in all, it still could be considered a strong cigar, within that range of a strong medium full. The flavor is there. There's plenty of flavor, although it's not complex, and it's nothing to like. It's not going to wow your chocha. The strength isn't going to break your chocha, and the flavor itself isn't going to blow away. You're not going to be sopping wet in your chocha. So what is the benefit of this kind of cigar? Well, I think it's a good cigar. I think it's a good blend. It's good construction. They're available everywhere. They're affordable. They smoke well. They're not off-putting. They're strong. Like Aroma de Cuba, if you like stuff like the 1000, 2000 series Padrones, I think you'll like something like this. You know what I'm saying, though? Although it's definitely a little less edgy. I think the 1000 series Padrones, and originally those cigars were coming in at probably $2 cheaper or something like that, and they used to be $5, $6 cigars. I don't know. I know prices went up, but Padron really raised their price on the 1000 series. Like a Robusto or Toro now, you see at stores sometimes. I mean, Florida is different, but at the same time, some stores, even in Florida, you see like a Toro. So would that be a 3000 series? Whatever the fuck. In Maduro, you might see them for $12, and you're like, bro, what the fuck, man? These are like $5, $6, $7 cigars at best, $7 for a big one. So the benefit of like the cheaper Padrones is they used to be really cheap, and you can get a big cheap Padron. They're edgy, they're dirty, they're really earthy, almost a little sloppy, but you're like, fuck it, it's Padron tobacco like in its original form with not much age, but it's gonna be ballsy and dirty, and a real punch in the mouth, knock around, no gloves, no helmet, that kind of vibe. It's a little smoother than that, but I think, look, at the end of the day, I think this cigar, if you said, Richie, well, just review the fucking cigar, I think it's enjoyable. However, I don't think this cigar, or this blend in particular, it merits any type of award, like you gotta try this cigar. Like for example, like the Cohiba Riviera was like, wow, this is really unique, or even cheaper and lighter, the Partagas Valley Verde was like, wow, that's a really smooth, creamy type of Mexican sangration. That was really interesting. I think it's a good cigar. I think it's a good blend if you like my father's stuff, but I wouldn't give it like an impressive. I would give it really somewhere between like a 4.2 and a 4.3, which would be around really a good solid cigar. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm saying not every cigar is going to be 4.6, 4.8. If you don't know how I review cigars, it's 0 through 5, but 4.0 to 4.10 really is where it gets broken down. If it doesn't maybe make a 4.0, which is where I start being a good cigar. And by good, I mean it actually works, good construction, good draw, good burn, and some type of flavor profile, something. What are you giving me? Which means it has some type of flavor. From there, the more it impresses me, and then versus the less you ask, the more impressive it is if it does more, right? So that's where value comes into it. If you just blow away my chocha and my mind can't believe how good it is, we can go straight to godlike. And you know what I'm saying, though? And if a godlike cigar that's expensive, well, maybe not high value, but still amazing, or godlike. But if it's not asking much and it's godlike, that's like supreme godlike territory, where if you're having a $10, $12 cigar and it's like, holy shit, you know what I'm saying, though? So earthy, black pepper, slight red pepper, a long heavy finish with just a little bit of chocolate. Just a little bit. It's really not that. When I say a little bit, that's the least percentage. It's really not a sweet cigar. Oof. Jalapenos coming in. Okay, we're getting toward the last third. The finish, I felt it come right up with a spicy green pepper. Definitely. So as we're getting into our last third here, strength is ramping up, spice is ramping up. That's where we're going to leave it. It's a 4.3. It's got great construction. It's available. These cigars, all the Aroma de Cubas are very affordable. Long, heavy finish. Now, if you're in the mood for something more simplistic, without some kind of beautiful blend, or blow out your blowouts on AJ can do really strong stuff. Generally, sometimes not really complex, although he does have some cigars that could be getting a little beautiful, but we're not talking about that. So it is what it is. It's just a good cigar, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying, though? I mean, not every cigar could be like, oh my God. It's like, so it's a good cigar. Definitely it's priced right because it's affordable. And it's got good construction, so 4.3. Nothing bad to say about it, but nothing like, oh. I think it can be enjoyed. So I'll see you around. Stay fresh. Don't go to jail. There's no cigars there in commissary. I've talked to people that went. You can't get cigars. However, though, you might get something. You might get an 8x80 you don't want, or maybe you do want. But oof. So don't do it. Don't do anything stupid. If you're going through a rough time, don't go to prison. You're better off going to have a milkshake, going to buy a $20 Davidoff. I don't know. Before you do something stupid, go spend $100 on yourself and say, hey, I'm going to treat myself. Before you do something stupid. Because lawyers are expensive. Lawyers are going to cost more than a cigar. I can't stress that enough. Even a Rocky Patel, whatever the fuck that is with the gold, go buy yourself a $100 Rocky Patel. That would be a better investment than investing in a felony or even trying to beat a felony case. It's going to cost you at least $10,000, at least. And it's going to cost you months of your life. Maybe a year as far as the case, and maybe even some time in county, bail, everything else. Who the fuck knows, Maybe even in between they let you out, but maybe you have to wear ankle monitor, and oof. But even something simple as drinking and driving, bro, it's a big deal. Drinking alcohol and getting in the car to drive is a problem. Okay, and here's the thing: even if you don't think it's a problem, the system does, and rightfully so, because a lot of innocent people have been killed by drunk drivers. It's really a stupid thing to do. And here's the thing: it doesn't matter if you're poor. It's actually better if you're poor and you get into a drunk driver accident than if you're rich. Because imagine going to prison for like 10 years because you killed 2 people in a drunk driving accident. You're like, oh man, I wish I didn't get my Porsche and my big house, and now my wife's at home and this and that. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, like I can't stress it enough. The richer you are, the dumber you are if you drink and drive. I don't know how, because insurance, if you're drinking, they're only going to cover, I think, certain things. You hurt someone, you could be sued, liable civilly, and they could take everything you have because you had what, 3 Bud Lights, you had fucking 4 Amstels, or a couple of Heinekens and a shot of something. Fucking stupid, man. Get an Uber or sit at home or walk home. Or stay there. Sit on a fucking park bench. Or fucking it would be cheaper to walk into a hotel after you're drunk. Spend $150 to stay at a hotel. Order some Domino's or company for $200. And over the age of 21. It'd be better to do that and drop $500 on yourself that night than to get arrested because you're drunk and driving. Just your car's going to be you're going to be towed away. That's going to go to impound. And in some counties, they just auction it off. That's it. Like Nassau County, New York, DWI, your car's gone. And it doesn't matter if you own it. Wow, you lost all that money. And if you don't own it, let's say you bought it, but you have 5 years left on the whole payment. Well, Nassau County is going to auction that car off, but you're stuck with the fucking loan. So imagine making payments on a car that you can't drive, and you can't drive any other car because you lost your license. Oof. And then imagine even trying to get insurance with Intercock. Man, you're fucked. Can't stress it enough. Don't drink and drive. Right? I mean, like, really. It's painful. Even if you just get pulled over. Even if you don't get pulled over, if you just get in your car and you're drunk and the cops pulls up, he's like, "We drinking tonight?" That's it, you're done. You didn't even hurt anyone. Well, you did. You hurt yourself. You punched your own chocha. I don't feel bad for anyone getting drinking and driving. You know you're not supposed to do it. I'll see you around. 4.3. A semi-strong cigar, a lot of smoke. It's very simple blend. Kind of a heavy finish. It's not a really very edgy, but it's not a beautiful cigar at all. But it can be enjoyed. And I think the blend can be done with anywhere from a coffee to a scotch, really. In that case, I think it can pair well with a lot of things. I'll see you around.